Hey everybody, it's Casual.Boops coming at you with another video, and today we're going to cover the Lansen C, a Tier 8 Swedish premium medium tank. And before we get into that, if anyone is watching this and they want to see their own replays featured, go ahead and send me the replay to Casual.Boops@gmail.com, and if it's really good, maybe I'll feature you next. Okay, having said that, the Lansen C, what is it? It's a Swedish single-shot premium tank. And I think it's kind of a sleeper. It's really, really good. We'll just get right into the stats right now. I just want to first say that it has 320 alpha, and the DPM is still almost 2200 base. So those two things combined are really kind of what sets its thing apart. If you see, for instance, if you compare it to like the T44-100, which is also a very good tank, has 250 alpha and only 2100 base DPM. So this is a great tank, and it has less alpha and less DPM. So I wanted to show that as a way to understand. Basically, this has great alpha and great DPM. Penetration 208 is fine. Reload is fine. I mean, aim time 2.4. The parts that really kind of let the thing down, the balancing factors of this are the dispersion's 3.6 base, which is not awesome, and some of the soft stats are not that great too. So the gun's a little bit on the derpy side, and then the view range is 380, which is not good. Having said that, it's otherwise part of the things that, beyond the gun, the DPM, and the damage, the things that make this thing stand out is the mobility. Oh my god. I mean, it gets 10 degrees of gun depression, 20 degrees of gun elevation, obviously a full turret, terrain resistances are fine, and it gets a power to weight ratio of 28, which is very good, and a top speed of 50, but I don't know what it is, if it's something with like the transmission or what, but this thing feels like a go-kart. It's just ridiculous. The mobility really, really surprised me. So that's one of the things that I find it's a lot more fun to play than I thought it would be when it was first introduced. I was thinking, oh, it's just another single shot tank. It kind of seems like a normal 240 alpha mix kind of had a baby with an M4 ravioli, and here we are. But no, this is it's pretty good stuff. So I guess before we do that, what I would recommend that you play with this, obviously the turbo is fun. If you want to fly around the map even faster than this thing already can, I would throw a turbo on this, but then you'll definitely need a vertical stabilizer and then probably a ram or two. That's probably the most fun. But if you're going for actual performance and what this thing can actually do, it's probably going to be optics, rammer, V-stab. And I believe that's what the replay we're about to watch, I believe that's what the equipment they're using. So they can get the view range up to an acceptable level, and also using food and stuff. But you'll see, mobility-wise, if you're throwing a turbo on, it means it's even faster, and it also goes up to 55. So that's something, if you want to just loll, that's what you do. Armor-wise, not much. It's basically paper. You have some trollish auto bounce angles and so on and so forth, and occasionally you'll get miracle bounces off of some of the random little bits and pieces and so on, but it's not, the armor of this thing is not what you should be relying on. You don't play this tank for the armor, you don't rely on the armor. Yeah, you see, like, maybe you can bait somebody into shooting this over-angled bit, but it's not very thick stuff. So basically it's a paper medium tank with a great gun. So anyways, that being said, let's get right into the video. Alright, so now we're going to get right into the gameplay here, and we're following CJ Nuss 23, playing the Lansen C on Empire's Border in a game with Tier 8s and also Tier 7s, and there's 2 artillery per team. And I just want to point out right away, you can see just right away how quickly the mobility catches up to this thing. It's just ridiculous. The Super Hellcat eventually overtakes it, but this thing just takes off. And that's one of the things that I like the most about it, is the fact that the mobility is just ridiculous. You'll notice it in this replay, but man, that's one of the standout features of the tank. And for that reason, and the gun and the DPM, I think this is probably kind of a sleeper. Like it is probably one of the better tanks, premium tanks at Tier 8, but I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. Nobody cries about it being overpowered, but it's very good. So anyways, CJ goes up here and tries to get some early damage on unsuspecting Tier 7s, and does so. And the downside to playing in this position on the shelf up here is, oh, there it is. You're going to see it. It's not already safe. That's why I don't recommend playing up there because it's really risky. But if you're feeling frosty, if you're not afraid of artillery for whatever reason, then that's a good it gives you a different angle. But you are definitely vulnerable to artillery when you go there. We'll see if we can catch this comet. No, renegade in the way. But yeah, you're seeing the gun is, and CJ probably agrees based on his turret shaking there. The gun's really derpy. It's, CJ's running food to offset the gun performance. He's not running a rotation mechanism and a V-stab like I'd recommended. But even with a V-stab and food, you can see the gun, it takes a second. You got to baby it in a little bit. Otherwise, it's not necessarily going to do what you want it to do. So... But otherwise, reading the minimap here, we have a presence in the north, we have just a T-29 down south, and all this heat up here in the middle on this choke point. And so it's a good idea to keep an eye on the minimap at all times, just so you can have a better feel for what's happening, not just in front of you, but also in the entire game itself. And, CJ's shooting premium rounds, but even then, Defender had a pretty good angle there, so you can't just throw shots in, and I do want to cover right now, CJ was using the hill, and that's something that's, I think, pretty important. You can use the hill to tilt your hull to give you more gun depression than you otherwise would have. So that's, in that position and some others, that's a really good way to be able to get yourself something like 10 or 15 degrees of gun depression around a corner like that, when you can tilt your hull up and hit things you otherwise wouldn't be able to. So... that's just something to keep in mind. And now we're flexing down low because the T-29 that was down there by himself died, to the surprise of absolutely no one, and that's why you don't go places on your own. And now we have this Mod 1 locked down because he can't shoot us. And this is juicy stuff. But yeah, the T-29 had died, and so the enemy team had pushed around, so we came around the bottom side to catch that push. And now, unfortunately, this is a little bit awkward. Nobody's really making room for CJ, so, it's important to just be patient. You're already safe down here for the most part, so there's not a big rush. Unfortunately, this Defender's not really... They could probably echelon a little bit better so that we can all work this corner together and be okay, but nobody really wants to do that, so CJ doesn't really have an opportunity to play. You can see he's really wanting to, but alright, he decides to just, we're just going to do this. And this is really risky because you've turned the turret of the 50 TP, and you're hoping that the allies will... that's an unfortunate low roll. You're hoping your allies will come around and shoot the thing that's turning to look at you. And in this case, they have, and so it worked out. And CJ took one hit in order to basically break this flank open. But I've also done that before, and I'm sure you have too if you're watching this, where the allies on your team see you do that, and then they watch you die, and then we're back to where we were before. And that can happen, and it's very frustrating. So, especially when you're not dealing with platoon mates or people that you're communicating with, it's very easy for puppies to just kind of ignore ignore what you're doing and go back to what they were doing before, and not really seize the opportunity that you're trying to create. But these guys did, so that's why it worked out. CJ sees that we've lost the top side of the map, so he's going to try to come back because he's assuming, probably correctly, that they're going to come back and try to flank us and pinch the team. So CJ puts a good shot into the Super Hellcat, and there's the artillery again. And now this is spicy, You have enemies behind you. You have, the 703 is probably coming down low. You have the SU and the Defender that are coming on the other side. So what do? CJ only has about, just under 500 hit points. So he's two-shottable, but that's still not a lot for what we're dealing with here. The Defender puts a shot in, and the Renegade puts a shot in. The Defender has shot already, so CJ knows he has time to get around him, make sure the pen marker is green, and then go ahead and slam the shot in and shut him down. And so now it's still, okay, Renegade is dead, and so right now it's CJ versus 5 enemies. He puts a good shot in there, and then hugs up to the hill so that the artillery, yep, there it is, so that the ever-present artillery doesn't get to farm him. And look at the mobility. I want to call it out again. He's just able to just scoot away. It's like a Dune Buggy. He could just bail, you know, and because of that, I mean, this was really risky. He only took one hit there, but that 703 probably could have shot him and killed him. But even so, something that's less mobile would absolutely not have been able to make that play. So CJ was able to get away because of the mobility of the Lansen, and just imagine what it could do with a turbo, right? So now we're going to play some Ring Around the Rosie, and what do we do? You got 2 artillery. There's a Udez that was spotted in the north, but we don't know where he is anymore. Oh. And you can see from medium range, and that was, you know, that wasn't even that far. You really, the gun just does not behave sometimes, and that's part of the balancing factor of this tank. You know, CJ is sacrificing the rotation mechanism for optics, so he can spot the things for himself, which I don't think is a bad idea. But that's the trade-off, is that the gun is kind of derpy. You know, I think it was Scorpiani on the forums that had kind of opened my eyes to this. He recommended using the rotation mechanism and vertical stabilizer and a rammer. And I gave it a shot, and at least for me, that was a game changer. That was like, okay, yep, we're absolutely going to do this from now on, because the gun just sings. It does exactly what you want it to do. It's great. But you also just can't spot for crap if you do it that way too. So it's all about trade-offs. Anyway, so now the base is being capped probably by the Super Hellcat, just based on the known positions of things. And so CJ is trying to turn his turret in case the 703 or the Udez is coming at him from above the hill, but he was spotted coming off the top of the hill there. So he's assuming that the Super Hellcat knows he's coming from this way, but we don't really have a choice. You have to come in here and reset, otherwise you just lose anyways. So now before we poke the corner, we get ready, we turn the things, and okay, Super Hellcat whips the shot and gets shut down. So now we have some time. Now it's 1 versus 4. And there's still artillery, so that's why CJ's going to hug the hill here. And you don't want to just run in with your face, because maybe there was somebody following you down the hill. And oh my god. So the Udez was ready for CJ, but CJ slammed a shot in there. And here we go. So now CJ knows we're both spotted, and he's waiting. He doesn't want to get hit by artillery, and now he knows that the Udez is unspotted, which means he is unspotted also. So he uses that opportunity once he's unspotted to make this flanking maneuver that he can do this because the mobility of this tank is ridiculous. So he's going to try to do the flankerino and get around behind this Udez. And the Udez has armor that's thin enough that I think CJ can just overmatch anywhere as long as he hits it. And he's got 329 hit points. And the Lansen has an alpha damage of 320. And the low roll is legit. There it is. But, you know, based on the DPM of this thing, CJ's able to slam another shot in there and finish off the Udez. And now it's all about staying already safe, because, oh my god, 34 hit points. You're just a sneeze away. Now he's unspotted, or we hope so. And okay. So now what? Now what do you do? I think CJ might, at this point, he was probably thinking, I'm going to go get some artillery, but now something is on the cap. We don't know what it is exactly, but it's probably made the 703. Who knows? So CJ, rather than going back to the place he was before, he has the time and the mobility on this tank. Again, I keep saying it, it's really good. So CJ decides, I'm going to not go in the place where it's predictable, because they're probably expecting him to come back to like A4 where he was before. So instead he's going to go around the horn, and he has 1 minute and 10 seconds to get there since there's only one person on the cap. He's still got to keep an eye on things just to make sure he doesn't get surprised, because it could be an artillery on the cap, you know, and then a 703 is screening. That'd be the smart thing, honestly, is if it artillery was on the cap and a 703 was at like E1, Echo 1, that'd be really smart. But anyways, so this is what we have to do though. I mean, unfortunately, this is what cap pressure does, is it forces you to come back and, you know, deal with this, even if it's not necessarily something you want to do, because at 34 hit points you don't normally go chasing people down, but here we are. So CJ's going to try to get up on this hill and see around the corner here as easily as possible without exposing too much, and see what we can see. Maybe we can get the first shot on this, whatever's in the cap. And okay, we spotted him. And oh, and there it is. Yeah, 703 was, he must have been expecting CJ to be the other side, and so he wasn't looking at all. CJ slams a shot and then almost flips himself. Good. All right. Let me just stay calm. Now it's just CJ versus 2 artillery. Now the trouble here is that CJ's still a one-shot. Like, he could just get splashed by an artillery and that's the game. So this is definitely not over. Anyways, we're just going to see what happens. And also you can see the chat here. CJ is also concerned, rightfully so, about the time, because if you cap by yourself, it takes something like 1 minute and 20 seconds. And it's going to take time to get to the cap, obviously, so there's only 3 minutes and 10 seconds left in the game at this point-ish, and so there's not necessarily going to be time to cap out. And the reason that matters is because if both of those artillery decide that they're just going to go run and hide, you might not have time to chase them down and kill them, which means it's a draw, which means everybody loses. So that's basically how I think about it. I think how a lot of people think about it is when you're with your win rate, your record, if it's not a win, it's a loss. So to draw means that everybody lost. So if you can go for the win, you should go for the win. You know, CJ's already had a pretty excellent game here. It was a 1 versus 5 there, so if he picks this up, if he somehow manages to finish this game off, it'll be a Kolobanov's. And he's got 4,300 damage and 5 kills, all of which was spotted himself, which is, you know, which I think we'll just have to see how this goes, but it looks like it could be a pretty excellent game so far, and it already has been, but if we can clinch the win, that'd be great. So let's just check the back corner, and there it is. Okay. And we're not spotted. and the HE rounds on the Lansen are actually pretty okay, but unfortunately, you know, you have to hit, you must have hit a track or an engine or something like that. CJ rushed the shot and so didn't pen with the first HE round. So now I think CJ is really concerned about getting one-shotted by the M12. So he's going to try to cap it out. Not going to try to go find the M12, because again, he could be anywhere. He could be. Oh, this is clever. He shoots some of the stuff on the cap to make the artillery think that he's knocked that stuff over and that he's over there. It's pretty clever. So he's not anywhere near that, and that's part of the reason that if you start the game, you should always knock that stuff down when it's on your cap. For that reason, it also works as cover. It's just not going to ever do you any favors, because there's never a reason where you would need that on your cap. So now he's going to try to do the same thing, try to knock something else over, and hope that the artillery sees it, notices it, and tries to reset in that area. Because this is all about mind games. I've been in a similar situation before and had the artillery just get lucky, and what a heartbreak that is. So we have about 5 seconds difference between when we cap and when the game ends. So there's just enough time to cap out and still win. But if CJ gets reset, he won't have time to probably do much of anything. He won't have time to cap again, and then he probably won't have time to go chase down the artillery in the last 20-ish seconds. So, oh my god, it's very, oh my god, like we just have to just wait and see. And okay, artillery just shot right there, so we pretty much got it, because the M12 can't reload the next, 5 seconds, so that's it. We pretty much got this. CJ puts the gun in the air, and that's it. That's the game. CJ picks up a 6 kills and takes home the win. My god, okay, what a game. So that's the game, and CJ ended up with 4,700 damage and 6 kills, which is an ace tanker, and then a Kolobanov's for standing alone against 5 enemies and winning. The base resets got him the Defender medal, the Top Gun, the High Caliber. I think it's a Spartan badge he's got there for something about blocking damage or something like that when you've got low hit points. I forget exactly what that one does, but anyways, 1,580 base XP and a fistful of medals, and you can see here, based on the final end screen, how without the battle payments there, I think CJ probably would have broken even, which is pretty impressive considering the fact that, you know, he had food, he shot almost exclusively premium rounds this entire game. So it just goes to show that, like, this thing can actually make some pretty good credits too, even when you're just spamming the gold. You know, CJ shot 26 times and only penned 18 of them. So, you know, he didn't even pen every shot, and he still probably would have broken even with this game, even while, you know, paying for food. So pretty impressive stuff, and also just kind of a testament to what the Lansen can do and how many, you know, the credit earning potential and so on. So yeah, that's the game, and thanks for watching, everyone. And congratulations to CJ for sending for the great game, and thanks for sending in the replay. And I guess we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.